Hello, nice to see all of you again. It's been a while since I've been doing this LinkedIn clinic, and as mentioned in my post, last 6 weeks or so, there were a lot of exams happening, as well as final uh, assignments and projects submission. So I thought maybe didn't want to run the session since there would be challenges in finding the right time. So, but this week I thought better resume, and I think there are multiple programs as well running this morning and this week. But nevertheless, we're going to do a slight change from our normal clinics. Usually our normal clinics, once we finish it, we will take it down. But for today's purposes, we were going to keep it here. Just that any one of you who wants to get your LinkedIn profiles reviewed by me, we're going to share with you at the end of this session a special Zoom workshop that we're going to arrange on Friday. So that session will be purely pre-registered. Anyone that joins will get their LinkedIn account reviewed by me, and of course, the rest will get to learn from this review, right? So for those who want your LinkedIn accounts to be reviewed and also get some suggestions to be enhanced, please do stay tuned until the end of this session to get the details for the registration, all right? So of course, as in any clinic that we start, we invite you to actually share with us any of your questions that you have. But I thought maybe since we're going to run it slightly different, I'm going to give some perspective, all right? So with that, feel free to just drop me a comment where you're watching from, which course are you, what university are you from, as well as any LinkedIn questions that you may have, especially you are wondering, you've been doing it for a few weeks or few months, and yet you don't see the kind of results you want, right? So this session is specific, tailored for all the undergraduates as well as fresh graduates. However, if you're experienced higher and you're watching this, some of the techniques are still applicable, but nevertheless, also please do connect with me on LinkedIn, because I'm going to run a session for experienced higher, especially those job seekers who have just lost their jobs, or those of you who are looking to change your careers for whatever reason, all right? So with that, not further ado, really like to welcome once again to everyone who's tuned in. We're going to have a wonderful sharing session this morning with regards to LinkedIn tips for undergraduates and fresh graduates, okay? Okay, so thank you for tuning in, Nahayu. Welcome. If you have any questions, feel free to just drop it in, all right? So I want to paint some perspective, and to allow me to do that, let me just pull out a tab, right? Okay. Right. So wanted to give you the GE. GE here stands for Graduate Employability Landscape in Malaysia. And this data is slightly old. It's based on the Khazanah Research Report, Institute report, KI report in 2018. And this is, of course, compiled by my friends in Talent Corp, Malaysia. So wanted to show you what are the GE scene, or the graduate employability scene, that is very, very prevalent in Malaysia. And of course, this is under the landscape even before COVID-19 happens and MTO happens, right? So we have more than 250,000. In fact, the actual number is about 280 to 295 graduates from Malaysian university annually, right? And I got to emphasize, this is just Malaysian universities. We have not included graduates coming back from overseas, right? And from the survey, KPT, Kementerian Pendidikan Tinggi, runs an annual tracer study or tracer survey, which they analyze students who have graduated before they attend their convocation. They are asked to put in this survey on whether they are employed or not. And they found that there is a huge statistics year on year we are hovering around 60 to 70% graduate employability. That means there's 30 to 40% of you out there who have graduated from Malaysian universities, and within 6 months, you are not getting a job. And again, I got to emphasize all this is during normal times. We have not even put in the COVID perspective, right? So one of the reasons, of course, or a few top reasons is given by both many studies. I think JobStreet ran an extensive study with all their clients not too long ago. And they found that, the common feedback from employers is, of course, our graduates are very choosy, they got poor command in English language, as well as also they talk about the character and attitude, right? So some of these are very, very known, in fact, to our perspective. But that's where lies the challenge is, okay? Because I think there's one very good pepatah Melayu, because of setitik nira, rosak sebelanga susu. Just because of that small percentage of our graduates who behave in that manner, or percentage that is lack of good attitude, then gives us a very bad name as a whole. So that is where the challenge, I would say, is, and one of the things that we need to improve moving forward is actually this perception. So perception here is very, very strong, and we cannot stop this from, it's real, it's your perception is real. So things to do very differently in moving forward for Malaysian graduates, especially, in my opinion, is to really up your game and do it very, very differently. And how differently is this? Is to say that you actually focus on using a platform like LinkedIn, right? And LinkedIn here is a very powerful platform if you know exactly what to do. And in my journey over the last 2.5 years, I've been talking to more than coming to 9,000 students across 17, 18 universities. Of course, this MCA alone, through online session, I think I ran about 12 to 13 online sessions, spoke to more than coming to a 2,000 students population. And thank you to some of the career centers out there who actually got me to actually speak to your students, because I think this message is very, very critical and very important. One of the things that we want to highlight is why I started with the GE landscape is I want to say that it is actually very challenging to get a job today for an undergraduate or a fresh graduate in Malaysia, especially you are from any of the Malaysian universities. Reason being is there's a lot of negative perception against you, which I just shared with you some statistics. And to ensure that you are able to rise above the occasion, it is therefore important that you change this perception. And how do you change this perception is, of course, interacting with the corporate world. And the best platform to do it is, of course, LinkedIn, right? So just want to welcome those friends who have just joined us. Thank you for tuning in. And of course, this whole session and clinic is meant for all of you. And if you have any questions, feel free to just drop it in the comment section. My job in the next 45 minutes or so is to help some of you to address some of the concerns you have, and also to give you some very unique tips. How can you use LinkedIn better, right? So if you have not heard any of our sessions before or never joined any of our webinars before, we actually have a Telegram channel that you can actually subscribe to. Let me just pull that quickly out so that you can, okay, right? I will share the link later, right? But more importantly, wanted to focus on this whole area of getting you to be very, very equipped for today's employment scene. So one of the key roles, or one of the key duties, or rather my business rather, is in the area of HR advisory. So in a lot of cases where we meet a lot of HR professionals, one of the consistent feedback is, of course, our graduates today lack a lot of certain skill sets. Some mentioned in the survey I've just shared. And of course, this is something which we find again may be misleading in the sense that, again, because a small percentage of you, all of us get tagged. And I say all of us with a very open heart because technically I'm also a product of a Malaysian university. I graduated from UPM, proud to be one, although that was 20 years ago. But nevertheless, it's local university graduates, I feel, has a lot to offer our corporates and industries. But here lies the challenge for us to rise to the occasion and really reach out and network. And that's where LinkedIn becomes a very, very useful tool, and as well as platform for us, right? So welcome. Okay, good to see some of you who have just joined us. And if you can, especially those of you watching from Facebook, if you can, would you kindly just do a watch party and share this post so that more of your friends could actually benefit from it, okay? And really hope forward to see more people benefit from this session. And I was just saying earlier, for those who just joined us, any of you who wants a LinkedIn profile review or audit, so to say, please stay back until the end. We're going to give you a link for you to join another session, because that session will be more private, not open to the public, or rather, we won't broadcast it over the social media, so that at least you don't get your profile shared throughout the world in that sense. All right. So in a way, nice to see most of you this morning. So I wanted to just share a very important point as we move along. And let me just pull back my slides. Okay. So LinkedIn, as I was mentioning, becomes a very important platform here. And one of the things that we want to actually also share, and this was a lot of misconception when we first ran the Time for Success class, is this idea that LinkedIn is another job portal, right? Another job portal where you put your CV there, it's your digital CV, and employers come and look at your CV, or even it has a lot of job advertisement which you can apply for. And as a result of that, then that's where the match happens. I would like to say that LinkedIn has a job portal function, but nevertheless, that job portal function is actually very, very small compared to the entirely of what LinkedIn can do. By definition, most of you have heard this if you have attended my class. LinkedIn is a social media platform, and we got to emphasize the key point here, or the keyword here is social, right? So it allows you to interact with other people, and in this case is to interact with professionals, right? So other social media platforms has a focus for you to interact with friends and family, like Facebook, even Instagram, right? And even Twitter and all. But in LinkedIn, it's very focused, interacting with another professional. And that's where I find it's very, very exciting for young undergraduates like you. Because why? Imagine you are in second year of your study and you get an opportunity to interact with professionals, not only in Malaysia, but around the region and across the world, depending on how actively you network, right? And this platform really allows that. And we have seen so many examples, which I've seen young people utilize this platform, reach out to C-suites, like the CEOs of big companies, of the GLCs, of the PLC and MNCs, and then have a conversation with them, leading to opportunities, right? And that's where it is so, so beautiful. So for all you out there who treats this as a digital CV, I would like to say that it's really, really more than that. Therefore, the way you construct your profile, the way you interact, it is very different than a job portal, because job portal is very transactional in nature. There's a job advertisement, you apply for the job, or you put your CV there, hoping for people to search for it. But in LinkedIn is really an active participation, very active. As we discussed earlier, the key root word is still social. So in one way, especially how you construct your about section. About section, they used to call it summary. Then they realized everybody summarize it too short, 3 words. Because most of us, when we see the word summary, we are very, very conditioned how we summarize, like how we do in a CV. Right. In fact, my personal experience is in the about section, there's about 2,000 characters limit. I would encourage you to use up all these 2,000 because why? The more words you put there gives more information from the rest of the world to see you. Of course, certain people say that, less is better. In a lot of cases, yes, but in these cases, because LinkedIn is catering to such a wide audience, right? Different people will be attracted to you by different key points. And that's where we want to encourage you to really open up and give as much room as possible to the different ideas, all right? So this is where it is important that we want you to really start looking at it, all right? Now, it is very, very important. It is very, very important to really think of it as a platform for you to network. So the analogy used here is definitely is you start to think that you are invited to come into a room with potential employers, with potential people that will become your bosses, potential people that will become your mentors, potential people who even become your clients or business associates, right? So that is the opportunity that LinkedIn presents to you. And that is actually very, very powerful from the perspective of an undergraduate, because as undergraduate in any other generation, this opportunity wasn't given to them. So like 20 years ago when I was in UPM, I cannot imagine how to actually interact with a CEO of a public listed company, How do even I get connected to him if he's not my family member or family friend? It is almost unthinkable and unimaginable. Of course, at that time, internet was just about to boom in that sense. If you remember, .com, for those of you old enough, but I don't think most of you are that old. In the sense that it really takes a bit of time. It takes a lot of effort and a lot of luck, I would say, to really meet up with a corporate manager and with a senior corporate manager. But today on LinkedIn, you can actually do that as a student. So it is something that I would really, really encourage all of you to really utilize it. Okay. So if you have any questions, feel free to start putting it in the comment section. If you've done, I see a lot of my friends really commenting. Thank you, Honey. Thank you, Ben. All right, for dropping your comments. Really appreciate it. Good to see. Salsa is here as well. Hi, Amira. Right, nice to see you. Zini, right? Zini from Utah. Anissa as well from IIUM, and Nahayu from UKM. All right. Who else did I miss out? Nuru. All right. Nuru from UITM. Hi. Thank you for tuning in. Right. Feel free to really push some of your questions or some of your that you have for me, if can. Right. So I thought I maybe share a tip so that we don't make this session just maybe waiting for questions to be asked, but nevertheless we share a good tip so that all of you may want to utilize this tip. And again, you can share this video or share this broadcast, post this session, which I think is more important. So one of the key things that we talk a lot about is this whole idea of what to post as a fresh graduate or even an undergraduate, all right? So let's talk about fresh graduate first, because you have a more immediate need compared to the undergraduate. Undergraduate, you got time, and then time is always a blessing, I would say. But don't sit on it too long, because every time we think we got time, then later on we don't have time, right? So as a fresh graduate, my biggest advice to you is to focus on showcasing who you are as a person using the LinkedIn platform, all right? And how do you actually do that is to actively do two things, all right? Number one is to start posting on a very periodic basis. And if you have just graduated and you're still looking for a job, or you're in the midst of looking for a job, you got significant time. So if you can discipline yourself on a daily basis, spend half an hour crafting a post to be posted on LinkedIn, that will be ideal. So this is for the fresh graduate who's seeking for a job, who has technically your full-time job is looking for a job, right? In that sense, right? So one way I would really suggest that what you do on daily basis, spend half an hour, discipline yourself, spend half an hour to really write a post about yourself, right? And this is very, very important, because two things happen, all right? Number one, it helps you to give more perspective of who you are to your intended employers. So if there's anybody who's actually looking out for talent and they do see your posting, your postings actually will give them an impression of who you are as a person, okay? Of course, we have certain people, especially in the digital marketing world, will argue, hey, that's not who you are, that's your persona, you know? For those of you who don't know what persona is, you just Google. Yes, you can actually, quote unquote, fake a persona, or create a persona that is not truly who you are. But here lies the consistency. So if you can consistently fake a persona for day in, day out, which is almost quite tough and challenging unless you're a professional, that is one. Number two is, again, you are not, in a way, the recruitment process is always very robust, all right? So even if people get impressed by your posting, you know, invite you for an interview, unless you're also good at faking at the interview. So somehow or other you will get filtered out if you're not who you really are, because even if you get the job, you get another 6 months probation, you know, and there's enough processes to actually mitigate this kind of risk. So on the employer side, it is quite secure. But as an employee or potential employee, that's where the beauty is. So if you authentically share who you are on a daily basis, that gives a lot of perspective to your potential employers. And this is something I really encourage you to do. Why? Because in a lot of cases, your 3-page CV, good practice is to tell you to have maximum 3-page CV, all right? And your 1-hour interview, most interviews are in 1-hour format, don't really give much room and opportunity for your interviewer or potential hiring manager to get to know you. But if you have documented publicly your thoughts, your perspective, your learning, your experiences, then it becomes a very, very good validation of how you are as a person. And the way we write and the way we talk and the way we behave somehow becomes very consistent, because naturally most human beings are habitual. As I say, unless you are intentionally faking it, but it's very difficult to keep up the act, so to say. So that's the first benefit. Second benefit is, of course, we talk about this in our class a lot. It is a digital diary, and this one has become very, very important, because with the handphone today, it is so powerful that if you document it on LinkedIn, it is all there for others to see, but it is also there to remind yourself of the things that you have done, the person that you are, that really gives perspective to the question of who am I, or what am I good at, you know, what are some of my achievements. And these are key pertinent questions that will come up in interviews time and time again, right? So one good way I find, one good practice I find, is by documenting yourself in a consistent and professional manner gives you opportunity to retrieve some of this information when you need it, especially the half an hour before you walk into the interview room. Wow, that one really, all the time is the most scary or nervous one. And a lot of times when we are nervous and scary, we don't know what to do. And then by the time we walk in and see the hiring manager, we forget what we want to say. So with that in mind, it's really, really important that you have a consistent log or diary. And what better log than diary than the LinkedIn, right? And a LinkedIn posting. Of course, some of you may argue with me, say, hey, Mui Han, why should I post it on LinkedIn? I can keep a diary, I can have one of those small notebooks, or even, carry what we call a 555 book in my pocket that I write, or even use my handphone to document on the notepad. Why should I need to share it with the world? So here's my answer to that. I realized that sharing it to the world makes a commitment for you to really write it as authentic as possible, right? Because a lot of times you be more conscious to make sure that information is consistent, so that when later on you don't want to risk in a position that you tell a story when you being questioned or in an interview that is inconsistent to what you are representing, or what you have experienced, right? So in that way, it keeps you in check, and somehow or rather, this whole understanding of putting it down makes things very different. Right? So that is for the fresh graduate. So what you can write about on a daily basis. All right, you can even focus on what you have learned in the past, right? And because of social media culture, hashtag throwback is such a common practice these days, and you can consistently use it to focus on what has happened in the past, So you can actually do a hashtag every other day, hashtag Tuesday, hashtag Thursday, hashtag Friday, right? Throwback Tuesday, throwback Thursday, throwback Friday, throwback Saturday, whichever that makes sense, right? Document a specific event, document a specific experience, document your thoughts during the events, during that experience, all right? Because these are all very important for your future employers to have a better understanding of who you are and what you do, all right? So that is for those fresh graduates. And if you don't know what to look at, okay, basic thing is to look at all your extracurriculum activities, because this is still the key. I keep saying that young graduates or fresh graduates, let me just say this again, and if there's any managers out there, corporate managers or industry managers out there, you can help to reaffirm this or even disagree. If it's not, then it's also good learning for us. I think most corporate managers today understand, as a fresh graduate, your skill set in terms of the functional and technical is limited, right? So the minimum expectation is you do have fundamentals. That's all. They don't expect you to be fully competent in a particular discipline area in that sense as a fresh graduate. So that is a given. Of course, the preference is most of them like to ask that, do you have working experience? And you find that this question comes up very strongly, and even some of you don't dare to apply when the job ad or the job posting say that, preferable to have 1 to 2 years working experience, right? That working experience have more focus on behavioral competencies or attitudes, I would say, right? As somebody that goes around and talk to different clients, right? Why is that so? Is because they have found that technical skill set, if you don't have it, we can train you, right? So we put you in the regimented, structured training and development program and exposure program. Within 6 to 12 months, you should acquire them all, right? Or what is needed to get the job done proficiently. However, because of habitual tendency, behaviors are something that is very, very hard to mold, right? So at the point of recruitment, most managers do what we call risk mitigation to ensure that if you have what we call bad habits, quote unquote, that have already arisen within your your repertoire, it is best then to just avoid hiring you rather than to bring you into the organization and work very hard to change that, right? So that is very, very critical, I would say, to focus on your behavioral skill set, right? Sorry, your behavioral competency. And what do I mean by that? Behavioral competency that includes some call it attitude, like Hani said, attitude. And you can also focus on softer things like teamwork, like leadership, like communication, because these are very habitual in nature, which we tend to develop and acquire over time. And this one is very hard to change within a short time. So, and this behavioral competency is best demonstrated during your extracurricular activities. So if you can start posting all the different type of extracurriculum activities that you have attended in your LinkedIn posting for the daily posting, that will be ideal. And don't just share a photo of what you do. Give a perspective of why were you there, what were you thinking, what did you learn, what did you experience, and some of your thought process, okay? Because that will generally dictate who you are as a character. And if you can do this on a daily basis for those fresh graduates, all right, that consistency will speak a lot of volumes. Because why? If I'm a hiring manager and I look into your profile and I see this day after day posting of you doing different projects, of you attending different activities, of you managing different clubs and societies, after 3 to 4 reading of your posting, I will begin to see some what we call themes that will arise, right? And that is where we will sum up very quickly who you are as a person before even we call you for the interview, right? So that is for the fresh graduate. But for the undergraduates, it's even easier. Again, focus is still your extracurriculum activities. And for you, you don't even need to do it daily because you got time, right? So minimum, I always tell all the students, minimum do 1 posting a week so that you can focus to give the best posting. You can also focus on posting your final year project if you're embarking on a final year project, because a lot of us spend a lot of time, effort, and resource on a final year project. But we don't document the experience to show others that what we have gone through, what we have experienced, what we have learned, right? Because at the end of the day, your thesis, your binded thesis, don't tell much. And half the time, I can assure you, after you graduated, you binded your thesis, 1 copy go to your supervisor, another copy go to the library, you keep 1 copy, and you will never look at that book for the rest of your life, so to say, unless you're active in research. But most of us are not, right? So this is where I find that if you can document that, then becomes important, right? So again, the focus is to demonstrate behavioral competencies, because generally in the recruitment scene, I would say future employers or hiring managers would want to look at evidences or indicators of you have certain behaviors, all right? Because we are all habitual beings. I have explained this many times. So what you do now or what you've been doing now is a good indicator of whether you fit or don't fit the organization, right? And I say that is the most critical one. Organizational, people to organization fit, to the culture fit, organization culture fit, is more critical than your technical skills, all right? So your technical skills is a fundamental level. If we can need to enhance it, most organizations and companies have a very structured training program to ensure that it's brought up to speed, but your behaviors is something that is longer term to work on, right? So that is something that is we want you to really, really work upon, right? So got a question here from Hani. Thank you so much. Hani herself is a seafood, but I know why Hani asking this question, because Hani wants to benefit all of you. Thank you so much, Hani, for asking this question. So the question here, maybe I will just put it up so that all of you can see, right? So as a fresh graduate, Wrong question. All right. So Honey said that asked this question many times from young talents, how to write the opening message to request to connect with new connections, right? So if thank you for that question, right? So if any one of you also thinking what to do, all right? So let's put it in three perspectives, right? First perspective is, of course, having a common team to connect is very is easier lah. So what is the common team to connect, right? Common team to connect is probably you attended a talk or you went to a networking session and you saw this person, had a very brief hello in that sense, and then you send a connection to say, we were in this particular session together, and I know just met you, want to connect with you further. So that commonality becomes an easy starting point because people say, yes, I remember I saw Honey in that session, and now she put me a message, dear Mui Han, Honey here, I just met you in the session just now, thought maybe good for us to connect on LinkedIn and learn from one another. Best regards, right? So that is one way to put it, to find a commonality, right? Commonality in terms of you just met this person. The other way of commonality is really for all of you local graduates, especially Malaysian graduates, whether private or public university, the best person to start connecting is all your seniors and all your alumni, right? And this is a great, great commonality because why? Any one of us are very proud of our alma mater, are very proud of our university. So when you start to connect on that level, generally we will accept your connection. So you just put it to me and say, hey, Mui Han, I'm so and so here. I noticed that you are a UPM alumni, and I'm also currently, I also just graduated from UPM in this blah blah course. I look forward to get to know you better and also to learn from one another. Best regards, right? So that kind of message also will resonate because there's a commonality. There's a commonality. So focus for the people that you just met. Focus. And people that just met in today's context, it could also be people that you just met in a webinar, right? Not necessarily a physical session. So there's so many webinars around that you can participate, and most of them are free of charge. You can go in. So encourage you to actually join. Don't only join those webinars is meant for students. Also join webinars that is meant for working professionals. Right? Go in there and see what are people talking. Also get to see who are the people, and then use that opportunity to connect with these professionals, all right? Then look for your alumni members. Look for anybody who has graduated from your university because that is a very, very strong connection, commonality, right? So that's the first one. Second one is, of course, this strategy that I shared. You engineered the commonality. Right? And I think Honey asked this question because of both she and I probably, or even George. I think George always complain about this. We've been getting a lot of invites to connect, but don't tell us who you are. And if you do, it sounds very abrupt. You say, dear so and so, I know I'm looking for a job. Can we connect? Like, wait, who are you? Why I want to give you a job and things like that, right? So it is very important that you engineer a commonality so that you can connect with another person easier. And one way of doing that is actually don't even send an invite to connect first, but really engage the person in their posting, right? So do a comment, share a perspective, have a few discussion points, So for instance, I post like 3 times a week, sometimes 4, You can start commenting on my posts, give a perspective, From that, it builds some kind of familiarity. Now, I did say engineered, in a way, it's not so authentic, but at least it is, in a way, eases the familiarity or eases the commonality so that at least I know, hey, when you send a note to connect with me later, you say, hey, Mui Han, I'm so and so, great posting, by the way. I really enjoyed our discussion points. I think that probably it will be wonderful that we get connected on LinkedIn so that we can learn better from one another. Best regards, so and so. So with that, it is not abrupt, right? It is not abrupt. So I wouldn't have the hesitation of accepting your invite because I already had a pre-conversation with you. And pre-conversation can be easily established by you commenting on my post. Okay. Of course, the next question to this is, what about those people who don't post, right? So if they don't post, look for their activity list. If you go to their profile and look for their activity list, right? Look for, do they comment on other people's posts? If they comment on other people's posts, you can comment on their comment. Again, you are using that opportunity to build familiarity. Next sub-question to that, deeper. So you ask, what if they don't even comment? So if they don't even comment, maybe it is a LinkedIn connection that is not worth you connecting with, because chances are this person is inactive. So remember, it's not to collect enough connections. It is to really connect with meaningful connections. Meaningful connections here means that they are very actively on this platform. They discuss, they share ideas, they will engage with other people, and also if you engage them, they will reply you, right? These are all very meaningful because then it has an opportunity. If you connect to the people who are very inactive, then of course, it is actually very meaningless, right? Hey, Charlene is in. Hi, Charlene. Right. So, so that was the tip that I wanted to really share, which I find that is very, very important that you do a posting, right? So that's one, which I'll give the second one. So what you can do as a fresh graduate, do posting daily. Second is to do comment, right? So if you can comment on other people's posts, that would be a best way to really build a relationship and connection. And this is something that we really encourage you to do. In fact, I plugging this as a ballpark, but I don't think I'm wrong. Of course, during MCO, this percentage has increased. So pre-MCO time, based on my interaction and also some of my other business associate interaction, we can roughly say less than 5% of you undergraduates, 5%, less than 5%, actually dare to comment on another corporate manager's post, right? So most of you are very shy, are very scared, are very, inferior or nervous. So you don't dare because you're scared you say the wrong thing. You're scared that you create a wrong, unfavorable impression on you, and so on and so forth, right? So for those of you who still having these thoughts, let me assure you that it is important that you start thinking. If you don't do it, if you don't take the first step, you will never, you will always suppress yourself from not doing it, right? And the more you don't do it, the later you put it off, then you are losing a lot of good opportunity, right? So start with more friendly ones, all right? So all those people who commented here are all very friendly people. They post quite actively. Charlene posts actively. Hanif posts actively. Do comment on their posting. Don't worry, they won't bite you. These are the ideal friendly people that you can start with to practice, right? And you find that you build more confidence, then you can start connecting with other professionals, right? So remember, this platform is really for you to really connect and build relationship with the corporate managers. And it is a long-term game. It is a long-term, for you to really focus because in a way, let me just restrict that. It is a long-term relationship building journey for you to reap the rewards and benefit in the future, not immediate, right? So, and trust me, in my active involvement in the last 3 to 4 years on LinkedIn, there's a lot of positive benefits that I get in a way from all the connections that I've built across these years, right? So with that in mind, I really encourage you to do that 2 things, posting actively and commenting actively, right? And comment here can really also show who you are as a person, right? Azam, you're in, my good friend Azam from UTHM, right? Can really also give a perspective to your future employers of what you are or who you are as a person. Can show your maturity, can show your knowledge, and then it will also force you to be more prepared. Because, for instance, all right, if let's say a CEO of a GLC that you want to work for post a short posting on, let's say, the digital transformation initiative that he's leading in his organization, and probably you are maybe a student of, let's say, chemical engineering, right? You roughly guess what the GLC is. I'm just making this up, right? And you say that in my 4 years of degree, actually, I don't touch digital transformation. This is like a computer science thing. I'm chemical engineering. But I want to comment because Muihan asked me to comment on his post, and I want to make sure that I use this opportunity to engage him, right? It will force you then to do some desktop research on digital transformation, inevitably enhancing your general knowledge, inevitably making yourself to be more knowledgeable and savvy in that sense. And when you do start put a comment and you see that what others are commenting and what others are replying in that nature, it will give you additional ideas. So if you can spend actively every day for half an hour, I'm not even asking you to do more than that. You can spend 30 minutes a day set aside to just participate in professional conversation online. I would say that. That process itself would really enhance, okay? Your maturity will really enhance your knowledge. Will also give you a very good idea of the requirements of the corporate world. So when you go for interview later, you are actually singing the right song sheet. You are more in tune with what the professionals, what the industries are talking about, what is their concern, and you can learn all this only by interacting with the professional. All right, sorry to say that you cannot do this by just keep talking to your friends in university or even talking to your lecturers. Your lecturers are very good in providing you a specific area and a specific knowledge, right? But they may not be exposed to what is happening in the industry and corporate, or not so exposed compared to the professional. So with that in mind, it is your duty then to really take the daily task of having a conversation with a professional manager, right? And that's where I will really encourage all of you to do, right? So I am looking forward to see more of you joining our sessions, okay? And of course, I think this is my first time doing LinkedIn Live, and hopefully this information is sufficient. And yeah, so what I'll do here is I will put the link or the registration link to the Zoom meeting that is going to hold on Friday night. So it's Friday night, 8 p.m. I'm going to run a 1-hour Zoom session, or slightly shorter, depending on how many people sign up, for any undergraduate or fresh graduate who want me to take a look at their LinkedIn profile, right? So in the past, I've been doing private guidance or review. Some people will LinkedIn message me and say, hey, sir, can you look at my profile and give them comments, right? So these days, I stopped doing that. Not that I don't want to do that, but I thought maybe if I do that in a class, then more people can benefit, because most of you have same question, or most of you have same issues with your LinkedIn profile, right? So the class is, or the session is on Friday, this Friday, which is the 28th of August at 8 p.m., right? There will be a registration required. It's on Zoom. I will post that registration link in this comment section later on, all right? So with that, thank you very much for all of your kind attention. I look forward to seeing you once again, and hope that I can run this session or this clinic in a more periodic basis, and also maybe get some of you to pre-ask me some questions so that I can be more specific. So with that, thank you so much, and hope to see you some other time. And yes, I saw Muaz. Hey, Muaz from India. So long never see you, right? Nice to see all of you. Thanks for all the support, and see you again. Have a great day.